Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. Today we're talking Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, the upcoming Fatal Fury game, coming out sometime early next year, no exact date. And specifically, we're going to talk about the roster of the game, because I think that's an interesting topic. Even though we have a little bit, like a couple small trailers, a little bit of gameplay, we actually do not know much about the game. We know a little bit about gameplay systems. As far as, like, say, the story goes, we got no idea. And as far as the roster goes, we only got a little bit of an idea here. And that's kind of what I want to talk about / speculate about today. We do have a few characters that are obviously just fully confirmed because we can see them in the trailers and in the gameplay. We have some characters that are like 95% confirmed. We have some characters that are sort of soft confirmed. And we have some probably in the games but not sure. And then who knows what else. I think some people might be surprised of some of the characters that are soft confirmed because didn't widely get out there, I guess, or some people weren't paying attention to some of the trailers. But we'll get into it, and I guess let's just talk first. The characters we know 100% are in the game. Obviously, by the footage you're seeing, yes, at the very least, Rock and T-Zock are in the game. Rock, the son of Geese Howard, raised by Terry Bogard. Gameplay sort of a mix between the two. T-Zock is our resident big boy grappler. Naturally enough as well, Terry Bogard. Simply put, one of the most legendary characters in gaming history, period, not just fighting games. The man who put the bomber jacket on the map as far as games are confirmed. Sorry, Leon, you were a little too late on that one. And Terry, just all-around iconic character. We have Hotaru Futaba as well, so she's returning from Garou Mark of the Wolves. And that's pretty much her only real appearance, right? So this is the next game in the Fatal Fury series, and yes, this is Fatal Fury 7, not Mark of the Wolves 2. But other than like Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, this is the only game she's really been in. So returning from the original, but not much else besides that. And our last confirmed character is Preacha, who is a Muay Thai user and also apparently the star student of Joe Higashi. Makes sense because she uses Muay Thai and also lots of like wind / hurricane powers just like Joe. Bit of a science nerd apparently, and also maybe an evolution of the character that was in the cancelled Mark of the Wolves 2. There was a planned sequel for Garou Mark of the Wolves, never happened, but here's a sprite sheet, and you may notice there's a bunch of new characters here. And one of those is Kuon Kanta, who is another Muay Thai kickboxing apprentice of Joe Higashi, and that, well, it just never happened, right? Though the game got cancelled, those character ideas never got used, it looks like Preacha is the spiritual successor to that character. Sometimes it might take a few decades, but eventually good ideas find their way to the surface. So that's who we know so far. And before we get into everything else, how big can we expect the roster to be exactly? For the most part, starting rosters of mainstream fighting games are smaller than they were of the days of yesteryear because, you know, asset generation is expensive. It costs a lot of money, right? It's more expensive to make games these days. That said, though, say with the King of Fighters 15, SNK can put out a pretty big launch roster. They're okay with reusing assets where it makes sense, right? And I feel that's probably going to bleed into Fatal Fury City of the Wolves as well, especially with how many Fatal Fury aligned characters there are in KOF 15, right? So a roster of at least 20 plus, I feel, is a baseline. Something like 30, I think that's shooting for the moon. With DLC over the years, we'll definitely get to 30. I'm very confident in that. But yeah, probably like low to mid 20s as a starting roster is my guess. If a roster's too small, there's no end to the complaints. I've heard it a million times over the years. Especially, say, if you remember like the Street Fighter V launching with 16 characters debacle. But Street Fighter 6 launched with 18, so I guess 18's okay, but 16 isn't somehow. But low to mid 20s, that's my guess anyways. Now that said, let's talk about the characters that are almost 100% confirmed. So when the game was originally announced, it was shown with this lovely little bit of key art. So hey, here's Rock Howard, nominally the face of Mark of the Wolves. Sure, okay. That's a good way to announce the game, I guess. But who's this in the background here? And who exactly is this guy? Well, this is Kane R. Heinlein. So Kane is the boss of Fatal Fury Mark of the Wolves, also Charge character by the way, and he is Geese Howard's brother-in-law. Geese might be dead in this timeline, but you're never escaping him no matter what. And you can tell here he has sort of like a psycho power styled energies. I guess you can call him a virtuistic crime boss. But yeah, his sister married Geese, they had Rock, and then everything kind of stems from there. So he's the boss of the last game, makes sense he would be in this game, although there's probably going to be a new boss this time around. So we have that piece of art, but we also have another piece of art. So first one was rock focused, this one is Terry Bogard focused. And hey, fair enough, Terry along with Rock is effectively just the main character, co-main characters, right? But who's in the background this time around? So here is definitely, unmistakably, Joe Higashi. So Joe, Fatal Fury classic character, longtime character in the franchise, right? And usually in the King of Fighter games, he's teaming up with Terry Bogard. So of course, if anyone's going to have Terry's back, Joe would be one of the people. And that could very well be where the plot is going, right? Terry needs people who has his back. And keeping with that theme, who would have your back more than your own brother? So this is Andy Bogard. Andy much more ninja coded than his brother Terry. But yeah, so Terry, Andy, and Joe, that's kind of the big three right there. So classic Fatal Fury characters are definitely making a comeback in City of the Wolves. Not just the quote-unquote new generation characters of Mark of the Wolves. And speaking of the classic Fatal Fury characters, this is a good example going back to that previous art. So here's a different shot in the original teaser trailer, and this is without any mistake, absolutely Billy Kane. Billy is Geese's original henchman, uses a big, well, cane, if you will, I guess, big old pokey stick, and slaps you around with it. He was the mini-boss of the original Fatal Fury, the guy you fought right before Geese Howard, and just kind of all-around henchman supreme. So all these characters are on the official art. There's no reason for them not to be in the official art unless they're in the game and playable. Makes sense to me. Now let's talk some other characters that are probably in the game. So at EVO last year, there was a trailer that's like showing off Southtown. Southtown is where all of the Fatal Fury franchise takes place. And while showing off all the various areas of Southtown, these might be where the stages are, they had little voice clips playing. And the thing is, you can very distinctly map these voice clips to the various characters. Some of them were already announced, like Rock, like Terry, sure, right? But some of them are not announced characters. So who are some of the characters that we have not already talked about that are in these voice clips? Well, one of them is Mai Shiranui. Mai is like on Terry's level, right? She is one of the most iconic characters in gaming. She prints money wherever she goes, like let's call it for what it is, and she is a Fatal Fury character. That's her original game. So putting her in City of the Wolves, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Next up is Jenny. Jenny is a character that also made her debut in Fatal Fury Mark of the Wolves, and later has made various appearances in the King of Fighters, which many of the characters from Mark of the Wolves have, like say T-Zog. Popular character from Mark of the Wolves, makes sense to be in City of the Wolves. Really simple as that. Gato, our no-nonsense assassin man who maybe is related to Hotaru. Another character that made their debut in Mark of the Wolves. Like we're sensing a trend here, right? Either classic Fatal Fury characters or characters that showed up first in Mark of the Wolves. These seem to be the characters that are reappearing. And Marco Rodriguez, our Kokugen Ryu user, aka you shoot the fireball and you do the uppercut, you know, because we need that in fighting games. Them's the rules, I didn't make them. But yeah, he's the student of Ryo Sakazaki. And he does, you know, a lot of the iconic moves like the Hao Shokoken, the Ranbu Super, like all that, the classics, right? And also very popular character in Mark of the Wolves. Made his debut there, and as far as I can recall, never actually appeared in any other SNK games. As a playable character anyways. So once again, this is not necessarily hard confirmation, but why would you do a trailer showcasing these characters' voice clips if they're not going to be in the game, right? Just like the artwork, it's another case of makes sense to me. And good thing, like Mai Shiranui, you probably want Mai Shiranui in your game. It'll sell you copies of the game at the very least. And a lot of the more popular characters from Mark of the Wolves, like Marco, like Gato, like Jenny, sure, makes sense, especially Gato and Jenny. You know, SNK being SNK, you can reuse some of the assets, reuse some of the animations, make your life just a little bit easier when you're making the new characters for City of the Wolves. So now having gone through all that, right, the 100% confirmed characters and the characters that are almost certainly going to be in the game, we're actually already at 13 characters. Rock, Terry, T-Zog, Hotaru, Preacha, 100% confirmed. Kane R. Heinlein, Joe, Andy, Billy Kane, Marco, Gato, Mai Shiranui, and Bon Jenny, they're pretty much all like 99% confirmed. So at that point, okay, obviously there's going to be some new characters, like Preacha is a new character, and there'll be more new characters besides her. New characters, you can't account for new characters, who knows? Maybe like Preacha, there'll be some inspiration from the cancelled Mark of the Wolves 2, and some of these characters will get repurposed into their own new character. These two look pretty cool, I wouldn't be mad if they showed up. But in the end, new characters, who knows, we can't account for them. But for returning characters, we can make a few educated guesses. Especially given the slant towards the classic Fatal Fury characters and returning from Mark of the Wolves specifically. Now, for the classic roster, we actually already have quite a few of these people accounted for, right? The ones that are missing that'll probably make it in, I think, are Kim's sons, Dong Hwan and Jae Hoon. Like, they're popular enough, I guess, right? But like, Hokuto Maru, will he return? I don't think so. Will Kevin return? I don't think so. These are not popular characters for one. Hokuto Maru, like, is Mai's student, and if Mai's going to be in the game, you don't really need him there. And Kevin? Like, is anyone a fan of Kevin? Like, Kevin's a strong character in the game, it doesn't mean he's popular. Especially when you could put in his relative, the infinitely more famous Fatal Fury stalwart, Blue Mary, right? Like, if people are going to choose between Kevin and Mary, they're probably going to pick Mary. I guess I'm not deconfirming Kevin or anything, right? But, like, one choice seems better than the other. And people like Freeman and Grant, like, who cares, honestly? And you know what? I even kind of like Grant. But Grant has no character and no personality and no legacy. So for other characters that are not new characters that are returning characters, we're probably going to look for the Fatal Fury franchise, right? As much as I would love it for, say, certain other people to show up and do their thing, hey, hit our music. You know, almost every SNK game devolves into it in the end, one way or another. So why not make City of the Wolves all about ya boy, Orochi? And Lord knows I would love to have Vice playable in an SNK game in the modern day and age. It doesn't make any sense, right? None of these characters have anything to do with the Fatal Fury universe. Fatal Fury is specifically about Southtown and all the drama about Southtown. For the most part anyways, right? So having, you know, world-ending threats like the Orochi crew, or nests, or those that came from the past, all that nonsense from KOF, none of that makes sense here. So what does make sense? Well, you pull from the Fatal Fury games, right? Makes sense enough, right? City of the Wolves is the canonical 7th game in the Fatal Fury franchise, and just start looking for characters that are not already represented. Obviously, throughout all the games, not everyone's going to make the cut, but, you know, some maybe deserve it a little bit more than others. Like, say someone like Rick Stroud. Rick, he's a Native American boxer, and he was in the Real Bout 2 Fatal Fury game, right? It's not a game everybody knows about. Rest assured, as far as any fighting game character can be, he's very competent at the whole boxing thing, and has, like, a lot of really cool and stylish attacks. I think he'd make a great addition for the modern day. Same for someone like Duck King. Duck King, he's had a few swings at bat over the years, but he's a cool character, right? He's just, you know, kind of hip-hop breakdancing guy, and he has his own pet chickadee with its own mohawk. All about dancing, having fun, and being silly. And if you do it right, he can summon a whole army of little chickadees, right? Like, I think everyone could be down for that. Characters like Yamazaki and Franco. Yamazaki is, you know, in many Fatal Fury games, also a KOF transplant as well, and Franco is just like big dumb gorilla man. You know, for a lot of people, that's all you need. And what about the dead characters in the storyline, like Geese and Krauser, right? Geese famously, him being dead is like kind of the whole crux of Mark of the Wolves, right? And, well, that storyline's resolved, and to that I just say, bring him back, screw it. Just make Nightmare Geese canon, why not? Like, part of the story is going to be all about Rock and his powers and all that, I'm sure, and he gets his powers from his daddy. Well, unless they change the story, then he might get it from his mom, who knows. But basically, Geese is a money character. You're only going to benefit, you're only going to sell more copies of the game if he's in the game. You can make him a dream character, you can make him a what-if character if you want, but just put him in the game. So that's some of my thoughts on the roster. Here's the characters that are definitely showing up, the characters that are more than likely showing up, and just some thoughts, I think, on who might be fun and who's likely. Like, if you see me post on Twitter, I would absolutely love it if Raiden/Big Bear was in the game, but honestly, I don't think he will be, which sucks, but I'm just being realistic about it. But that said, I'm going to toss it to you guys, and you can throw realism out of the window. Who do you want to see in this game? Returning from Fatal Fury, or maybe an SNK Greater Universe character, or maybe just make up a new one, who knows? Post in the comments below. But other than all that, well, we're at the end of the video, so thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Fatal Fury.